affiliate, there's things here where it's like you're trying to build the best. You're trying to be like, oh, well, we're not going to spend a bunch of money on our players, but we're going to build the best stadium. We're going to build the best facilities, blah, blah, blah.
And they're not, because the United are not necessarily, maybe they are, but they're not necessarily in the business of recruiting. This isn't college football here.
No.
This isn't where you're talking about unpaid athletes. You don't need to recruit a player here because all you need to do is pay that player.
That's right.
And he'll be happy enough to play here. You don't bring a guy in and say, well, here's a $30 million practice facility.
Yeah.
Do they like that? Of course they do. So
Sure.
It is part of it, but it's not the most important thing.
No, absolutely.
Building a winning culture is.
Why did Darwin come here?
I'm assuming for his paycheck.
For a paycheck. He didn't care about the...
And he's
practice.
getting a nice paycheck.
I mean, there's a chance that maybe he came here because he realized he'd be the focal point.
Well,
potentially.
He could be a star here, and he's going to be. If he continues on this same trajectory, he will be a star in this city.
Yeah, I mean, aside from some Vikings players, maybe. Yeah. I mean, he's way better than most of them.
Is he better than Adam Thielen?
Certainly in the soccer market, he's becoming a star.
I'm biased, so...
I would say he is better than Adam Thielen. But.
Do you ever see an old star from Europe or anywhere else coming to this state to play them?
No.
I don't see us like
Well,
Todd coming here.
Why would they, though, John?
But I guess that there's more to do in Chicago than there is Minneapolis.
Why
Well,
would they?
people settled the Midwest because it was like Germany. So Germans should come here. That's why they're here.
But let's go to the.
Well,
let's
yeah,
go to
they
the,
didn't realize.
Let's go to the real reason why they don't come here. Is because the markets that they go to
Are the big
better,
ones.
Are the big ones.
Yeah.
And advertising and things.
I mean, Schweini is never going to come to Minneapolis.
No, of course not. And Pirlo was never going to come to Minneapolis either.
But maybe somebody like Roos or
Yeah. You're going to get second-tier guys. That's the way it works.
John. Come on.
I mean, look at the Twins, man.
He's injury prone. We don't need him.
Look at the Twins, John.
Hummels.
Klinsmann.
I just don't see it happening.
Klinsman's son.
He's coming back.
As a goalkeeper,
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, maybe now. Now. How do you say his name? Neuer?
Neuer?
See, I'm not German. I'm not German.
Neuer.
Now?
Maybe Buffon maybe wants to play one more year here.
No, he's done. Buffon's
We know what you think of him.
Buffon's done.
Smell him from your seat.
Shut up, man. The best goalie in Italian soccer history. Bite your tongue, sir.
That's not saying much.
I mean, I agree. You know, Minneapolis isn't a good market to try to attract.
Why would you?
Right.
There's no reason.
Slate done or go to the beach after every game.
I think what it comes. I think when you're talking about markets and sports, I think really for some reason I don't necessarily have an answer, but I think NBA is the only sport that really is okay. You need to attract players, and because you talk about a larger roster such as baseball or football.
Okay.
The bottom line is salary. That's what it comes to.
Well, I'll tell you this, Dave. I think NBA is a good point. NBA is a big thing about getting the NHL. NHL's like no.
Yeah.
But NBA is a good point, Dave, because their marketing is so crazy.
I mean, obviously.
But MLS too, because their marketing is so nuts.
Yeah.
So we do have to move on to this topic, boys, because we're running out of time here. Dave Strolling's decided that we only have 10 minutes left.
I have not decided anything.
Who decided it?
Spreaker decided it.
Spreaker? What?
I mean, unless we want to upgrade to the professional, which
How
is
much is that?
a lot more than what we're paying now.
Do we have to pay money in?
You're wasting your life.
Yes.
Well, now slow down, guys. We could do a 4-hour podcast and just split it into 2 parts.
Well, that's a good point.
But
we could.
I don't know that we need to do that. We'll be here. Well, we won't be here, but we'll be.
I don't know
back
that our
on.
fans would want.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Quote unquote fans
It's
would want 4 hours.
It's hard to listen to a 2-hour podcast, let alone a 4-hour podcast.
So
let's get into.
let's talk Matt Lampson,
Let's talk Lampson. Yeah, he won an award.
the Humanitarian of the Year award.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. You know, I don't know how many people really pay attention to what he does. He does. I mean, he is a cancer survivor of his own, And so he does a lot of work with youth cancer.
Yeah.
He's constantly posting stuff on Twitter and other social media, visiting, Children's Hospital.
Yeah, and one thing, he started the Lampson Foundation in 2013, and that's to raise awareness for Hodgkin's lymphoma. Like you mentioned, he overcame himself at 17. The other thing that I really think is cool is the fact that he launched the Hero program while he was in Columbus. He's a native of Ohio, and he signed his first contract with the Columbus Crew. But what I think was really cool is, he's continued that program here.
Yep.
And so basically every professional game that he's played, he usually brings along, a child and their family as a special guest to that game. Every single game that he's done since 2012. So I thought that was really cool.
Very deserving.
Yeah.
And one other note: this is not the first time he's won the award. He actually won it back in 2016. So.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Didn't know that either.
While he was with, John, you're right. Yeah, Chicago Fire, he won it for the same reasons, great reasons.
So I think I talked for everybody here at the Loonacy Podcast and saying congratulations to Lampson.
No doubt.
Absolutely. Certainly one of the highest off-the-field awards you could win, I would assume.
And an award for being a nice guy.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's quickly go into FC Cincinnati's expansion team.
Yeah. Dave, you have the specifics nailed.
Yeah,
down.
so real quick, and this will, in our last few minutes, we'll kind of treat this as who do we want to protect from this expansion draft. But basically the bottom line is next month, a month from today actually, Cincinnati, they're going to be able to draft 5 players from MLS teams. And normally, since 2014, usually this has included 2 teams, and they'll alternate 10 picks back and forth. Well, in this case, they're going to get 5 picks, and they'll certainly have a time limit, but they'll go 5 picks. And I guess just a couple interesting things to note is because LAFC did this back in 2018, where they selected 5 players. Those players that they selected from Columbus, San Jose, Seattle, Sporting Kansas City, and Toronto, those teams are exempt. So they're not going to lose a player.
So there's teams that are out of this whole thing.
Yes, and because of that, so there's actually less teams that Cincinnati can choose from. Because of that, they're going to receive additional general allocation money. So,
but I'm going to go to this right now before we get to this. There is United win the same deal, right? Because United were a bottom team. United were a bottom team, and they actually got into the draft. So they already had guys that were kind of coming up. So we have to remember that FC Cincinnati has guys who are already there.
Right. And they have a few that have...
And they have a few, so we don't really have to worry about it being from an expansion draft standpoint, they're not making a whole new team.
No.
Right.
They're kind of adding on.
And I guess in a way, it kind of makes it harder for MLS expansion franchises because if you're like real quick, hockey, they get to when the Las Vegas
Golden
Knights when they went and they selected 1 player from each team.
Yeah, that's right.
So here, FC Cincinnati, they get to choose 5 players, not even from every team, but from a United perspective, Minnesota United perspective, worst case scenario is we'd lose 1 player because they can only choose 1 player from each of the teams available.
I don't think we're going to lose one.
I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have anybody that's terribly threatened. Now, however, that depends on who we protect.
Well, yes, but let's go back to what I said, though. Cincinnati already has a team.
I mean, the reality is, though, against LA, we didn't protect, for instance, Miguel Ibarra.
Which was surprising.
I think it surprised everyone. Now, to your point, they kind of have a roster that they can select from.
Yeah.
So, I would suspect, based on Manny's comments from his interview, that Miguel will be a protected individual. He mentioned how Miguel needs to build upon this year.
He should be.
Now, everyone on Minnesota's roster is actually done as of this year. There are no guaranteed
from a
contracts.
contract standpoint.
Yeah, from contractual standpoint. Now, however, Kelman apparently has re-signed for multi-year. I would suspect Miguel has an option. Well, he does have an option for 2019. I'm going to suspect, based on Manny's comments, he's going to get that exercised. But, there's obviously Kelvo. You don't suspect he's going to get drawn into this.
Yeah,
But, I could see Kelvo being one
Yeah.
who, if he wasn't protected, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
But, Ibarra, if he doesn't get protected,
Yeah.
I could see him going. Now, I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, because I don't think so either. And I'll bring it up to put it in perspective. I mean, each current MLS team that's eligible for the expansion draft, like the Loons, they're able to protect up to 11 players,
Right.
And that doesn't even include Generation Adidas or homegrown players who are auto exempt to begin
So
with.
let's-
So, bottom line is what I'm saying is how many. There's not a lot of players we need to protect,
No.
other than the obvious 11 that we're given.
But it's kind of like like I said before, it's like the draft that the United had, where
Right.
they had a lower team that came up, so they have a lot of players already.
Right.
So they're not really thinking about getting a starter anywhere. They're thinking about backup guys and things like that. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, unless we left someone crazy unprotected, I don't
Which we
foresee
won't.
us. Yeah. I mean, because, for instance, in terms of the rules, Denlati, Toy, and Harrison Heath are all protected.
Yep.
can we leave Gomez up?
Gomez, unfortunately, being alone, he's out of the question. However, that would be a really great trick to play.
I think they've already seen it though. I
Yeah.
don't know if anybody knows about it.
Yeah, I mean, so bottom line, there's a very high likelihood that no player from Minnesota will
Yeah.
get chosen
Yeah,
because they're able to protect 11 players.
I don't think it's going to happen. So we got to wrap it up, guys, because we're at the 2-hour mark. So we've been at Alloy Brewing, guys. You guys have a good time?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It was great to have Dave hang
Dave,
out
the beer
with
tender,
us.
hang out with us for half a podcast. It was great.
And
John-
anybody that was paying attention, I accidentally recorded Facebook Live for the whole first half of the
nice.
podcast.
That's why Johnny's fiance was like, "Hey, who's that guy in the German outfit?"
Yeah, and I don't think if I was going to say one last thing, I don't think it's too important just to reiterate the fact that we're recording this on Veterans Day. So I
Veterans Day,
personally
yeah.
want to thank all the service men and women who are currently serving, and of course all the veterans. I know we all have family members that are veterans. So
Yeah.
So again, Loonacy Podcast on BGN from LA Brewing. I want to say thank you to LA Brewing again. For myself, Tony Permananzi, Dave Stevens, Dave Sterling, guest, John Andruski. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
That's it.